this will be on trail day number 177. It's Tuesday, October 26, 2021. And that is Standing Bear Farm just behind us. I stayed 2 nights at Laughing Heart. Well, 3, 1 night in the tent in the field, 2 nights in the hostel. Supposed to be bad weather yesterday, and it did get stormy in the afternoon. So they had a shuttle coming here to Standing Bear. So rather than try to hike here and then coordinate with the shuttle driver to drive all the way from Hot Springs to here, I just got them to shuttle here, and then I'll walk right back to the shuttle driver. So it's 30 miles. Try to do that in 2 days. So 15 miles today, and then roughly 15 tomorrow is the plan. So I think this is the trail coming up here. I'll have to double check if I don't see a blaze. But yeah, I'm going to try to do 15 miles going over Max Patch. It's raining right now, but hopefully in the morning or this afternoon it's supposed to clear up. So we may get some good views on Max Patch after all. That's kind of the way I'm doing it this way also. Yeah, let me make sure we're on the trail and we'll see what there is to see. Okay, that trail back there was the high water trail for the creek. So, we're back at the trailhead now, headed north today, back to Hot Springs. So, we are at the trail, and then when you get here, it just takes a road. It's a little chilly today, 46 degrees, so I have on my rain pants. Even though there's a hill climb, there's a little bit of breeze blowing, so I can always take them off pretty easy if I need to. No rain jacket, just the umbrella and the waterproof socks. And hopefully that'll keep me dry enough. I got new insoles, Superfeed insoles for my shoes. So hopefully it'll be a good day, even though the weather's a little crummy. Here's the first view of the day. It's this power line. Not much. But the clouds are kind of blowing over, so hopefully it's going to clear up. It's just been drizzly. Water getting shook out of the trees by the wind. And the terrain's pretty good, so at the moment. Some of the rocks aren't even wet. I guess there's enough canopy cover in places that they stayed dry. Not too bad of a climb so far. Yeah, switchbacks are nice. I'm still climbing up the mountain. Kind of in a flat spot here. I remember from the elevation profile, that's probably about halfway up. It's not been a bad climb, it's just a constant upwards motion. So far hasn't changed in the weather really, just a drizzly rain. Surprisingly, I'm still wearing my rain pants. I did have the pockets unzipped and the legs unzipped, like almost up to the knee, I think. But then there's a button fastener at the cuff, so I just unzipped them, let some air in. And for the most part, they're alright. You get a little warm climbing, but as soon as I stop or change the intensity, my legs will get cold, cool down. So without the rain pants, they'd probably get really cold, so I'm going to leave them on right now. That's their purpose anyway, is to just regulate temperature under wet conditions. It doesn't matter if my hiking clothes get wet. I got something dry in my pack for camp, so that's all that counts. This little flat stretch is going downhill, and that's never good when you know you're going uphill. I'm not making the fastest progress so far. I ran into the hiker I'd been hiking with the last few days. He skipped about 20 miles because he had to meet his mother at Standing Bear to hike the Smokies. So I stopped and talked to him for a few minutes. It's been like 8 hikers going south. I was like, where was all these hikers when I was going south? But apparently they all had breakfast from Fresh Ground this morning. I know Fresh Ground was at Fontana Saturday. I'm kind of following the group of hikers around, so might swing back up, I don't know. The southbounders are pretty spread out, so I may run into Fresh Ground at some point. And a Leapfrog Cafe, that'd be kind of cool. It's definitely feeling colder. The watch says it's 52. So temperature-wise, it's warmed up. It's more of a breeze. I'm glad I never took my rain pants off. And I am done with the worst of the climb, I think. And I'll be going over Max Patch here shortly. Well, I may not, from what I understand, there's like a trail that goes up to the top. And another way you can go that doesn't. And from the looks of it, I don't think going over Max Patch or over the top would be a great thing today. Really cold, wet, and windy. But we'll determine that whenever we get to that trail junction. So go over Max Patch, and then there's a shelter, like 3 more miles ahead of us. I may stop there and make something to eat. Don't know yet. Waterproof socks have been nice today. It's strange, you can feel like the shoe squishy and everything. It's like your foot's wet, but it's not wet. And while they still get cool from the temperature of the water or whatever, they don't get as cold as if he was wearing a wet sock. It's starting to get breezy. I may have to stop and put my raincoat on. Every time you start thinking then it has a hill to climb, it doesn't look very long, but who knows. I think there's one more short climb before we're actually at the top. There's always one more climb. Well, that's kind of a cool AT Blaze post on the left there. Still climbing. I don't think much further on the climb. It's like the most blazes I've seen in one spot in 200 miles. We're close to the top. The way that we just came. It may dip down and then go up a little more. But I think it's about to get cold and windy. Now I'm all hot and sweaty. I don't think we're getting any views today. I don't know what's up there. I see a railing like a fence. Oh, it's like a radio tower building. I see it. I know you might can just make it out through the fog. The tower right up there. But I kind of enjoy these foggy mountaintops as well. They're kind of cool in its own way. I'm gonna tell you, my feet feel great with these new inserts. So far, 5 stars for super feet. The rocks and stuff aren't poking the bottom of my feet nearly as bad. And it actually feels like I got a little bit more toe room in the toe box. So, maybe a little thinner. The guy told me to carry my old insoles for a couple of days. In case I had problems, I could put them back. And I was thinking about doing that, but I wore these walking around town and the hostel all for like 2 days. And they still felt fine, so I was like, I'm only doing 30 miles, I'll chance it. And so far so good. Well, one way to know you made it to the top is when there's a bunch of people coming uphill the other way. Want to know how much further to the top of Snowbird. So, well, you're right there. Go another 40 feet and you'll be there. So, I get to go downhill now. Yeah! They all said no views, but the terrain was nice. So it's been kind of slow going. Coming up that hill, but should pick it up a little bit now, hopefully. This is kind of cool. Got all this reddish. It just started. Both sides of the trail just covered in it. Whatever kind of bush it is, or plant. I got 10 miles to get to the shelter. So I've hiked 5.5. It's 2 o'clock. It was like 10:30. I didn't really look. Now I text my wife about a half mile in when I got service. And that was at like 10:45, I think. So in 3.5 hours, did 5.5 miles. It's not bad for going uphill, I guess. So this shelter, Deep Gap, I think. It's like a mile away. Is off the trail, of course. Like a quarter mile. So I will not be going to the shelter. But the only way I would is if it was just a torrential downpour. I'll just keep going. There's a campsite at the side trail for the shelter. So if it's got decent logs or something to sit on, I'll just stop there, take a break. So I got here Groundhog Creek. That's the trail going south. And then going north goes up through there. And the shelter is this way. Campsite, there was a log there, but there's a rotten pine log laying on the ground, kind of small. So even though it's 0.2, it seems to be fairly flat. So I'll stroll down to the shelter. And then if it starts raining or something, I don't have to worry about it. It's still rather cloudy. Actually had the sun trying to peek through a while ago, but then it clouded back up. I normally wouldn't go this far for just a shelter, but I'm going to do it this time. And take a break, eat something. Probably won't cook because I don't have any water. I just have a little bit of water with drink mix and a 1.5 quart of lime Gatorade. So I'll probably have tuna and cheese, crackers, maybe some fig Newtons. I got fig Newtons this time, and then may just still cook tonight. So this is the Groundhog Shelter. It'd be a horrible platform to try to sleep on. Dang. All the hikers would be rolling downhill. Bears are taking food bags on the AT in this area. They ain't gonna take mine. At least not when I'm awake. I hope. So there's the privy. Oh, minimalist. And the bear hang cable. Oh, I'm gonna stop here for a little bit and then it's like 8 more miles to camp. I'm a little ways north of the Groundhog Shelter. I just come up that. I'm still going uphill. There's a hiker come into the shelter. He's just ahead of me. Trying to go to the same shelter I'm going to. It's almost 4 o'clock. I've still got 8 miles to go. So it'll be dark for sure. But I see blue sky. It's starting to clear up, so let me get some good views across Max Patch after all. I've seen a couple of these. There's some random big hole with no dirt piled around it. It kind of looks like it was dug with a shovel. And kind of looks like there's some new dirt. So I guess this is where people doing trail work get dirt. The last one was like big enough to bury a body, but there was no dirt piled up around it. So I was like, well, that's kind of odd. But it makes sense now that I think about it. Wouldn't be dirt piled around it. They use the dirt for something else. So I'm just guessing, but I've probably got around 5 miles to go to get to the shelter. Or close to it, 5.5 at the most. The Max Patch is 2 miles south of the shelter. I'm in a dilemma. I checked the weather. It's not supposed to rain anymore tonight. It's supposed to be cloudy and windy. Like a 4% chance of rain. Which of course that's in town. But I'm thinking about camping just south of Max Patch. Since all the weekenders ruined camping on Max Patch for 2 years last year. So, and that'll be about dark, guessing. So I may just, if I find a good spot, camp. It's supposed to be cold tonight. It's supposed to be like 31 degrees. So, I don't know. We'll see if I find a spot that's not very windy. Looks appealing. Wonder if at one time that used to be the AT. I don't know. It's kind of like 2 pieces of a trail. Yeah, it was probably a road Who knows? Here's a road crossing. This may have been where some of the hikers got shuttled to this morning. That's about right. Be about 20 miles from here to Hot Springs, so. But I'm feeling pretty good. I just know it's gonna be dark by the time I get there, so. And it'll get cold quick once a little bit of the sun we have is gone, so. I don't know, that's what I'm thinking right now. Hike to close to dark, camp south of Max Patch, go over Max Patch in the morning. And then rather than make the shuttle driver drive to Irwin late tomorrow night, much if all went as planned, and I got up and early in the morning, but you know how that's gonna go. It would be later tomorrow afternoon, dark or later, before I got to Hot Springs, so I may just turn it into a 2 and a couple hours the next morning, 2 days. So camp south of Max Patch tonight, go over Max Patch in the morning, maybe get some views, and then camp tomorrow night 3 or 4 miles out of town, and then get a shuttle late Thursday morning to Irwin. Sounds like a pretty good plan to me at the moment. I got 2 breakfasts, backpacker pantry, I think, that someone gave me, so that'll work, I guess. So pretty much from that road crossing to here was all uphill. I know you don't know how far that was. Half a mile, 3/4 of a mile. I tried to go kind of slow where I didn't sweat too much, because I know especially if I do go across Max Patch, it's going to be windy and miserable, sweat or not. So it looks in gut hooks. The last water source was that road crossing. It was down the road just a little ways. The next water source is north of Max Patch, about a mile. It says there's a camp spot just north at the wood line. We weren't done climbing, but I only have about a quarter Gatorade, no water, so I wouldn't be able to cook anything. Which I got food I could eat. It doesn't require cooking, but a hot meal tonight, 1 in the morning would be nice. So, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. Well, I made it to the top of the hill. That hill anyway. And at the top of it, it turned across this ridge. And now I'm going downhill. But all the wind is over on the west side of the trail. So it was getting chilly, all that wind, even though I was climbing uphill. Man, 30-something degrees tonight. I'm not going to want to get up in the morning. Just be all warm in my sleeping bag. I expect to have a few cold nights, especially as it gets into November. Just in the Smokies for sure. I had dropped off my zip-off leg pants at the camper in Irwin. Might pick them back up. The day like today, minus the rain, pants would be better than shorts. I do have leggings I can wear under my shorts, so I don't know. I had started to hike in those today, and not the rain pants, but I think the rain pants was a good choice considering it was rainy. So from the elevation profile, shouldn't have too much climbing for any length anyway. It's just all kind of flowy. And then downhill to the shelter. So when it's 6 o'clock, sunset is in 42 minutes. So, close to sunset, or if I get to Max Patch Road and it has good water and a good camp somewhere, I'll decide then. So I'm almost to Max Patch Road. I'm 2.9 miles from the shelter. It's 6:45. The sun has technically set. We've still got a little daylight. And it is getting cold, boy. Oof. And windy. So, I still don't know what I'm doing yet. I'm probably going to be stopping to put my rain jacket on if I'm going to keep going. Probably the only way I can deal with the cold. Because the trail is determined, it wants me to walk in the wind. And it's only 600 foot of climbing between here and the shelter. I don't know. Keep me from having to set up my tent and take it down to stay in the shelter, but I don't know who all else may be in the shelter. Don't think there's really anybody hiking out of the hostel this morning, but I could see people being in the shelter if they were wanting to get a sunrise on Max Patch. Some trees creaking together. I don't know how much of a sunrise they would be tomorrow in the morning. I don't know if, I mean, you can see the mountain, well, I can see the mountains and all in the distance. It looks like the overcast is just at the higher elevation. I don't know. I may just keep on trucking. feet feel good, my legs feel good. I'm just cold and windy. I think I see a road. I don't know. I'll think about it. I don't know if it's too dark for anything to show up. We made it to the road. There's a nice, it's not flat campsite, but it would be cold and windy here. So here's the new notice, the closure order. The only place I see a trail is right here, so I'm gonna go with it. It says it closes an hour after sunset. It doesn't reopen to an hour before sunrise. Oh boy. So I didn't see the water, but I wasn't looking for it, because that spot's not gonna do. If I happen to just spy an awesome spot, since we're in the wind-free zone. Let's see. Max patch. 0 point something. Roaring Fork Shelter. 2.9 miles. Oh, look at that. Water. I'm still checking for blazes. That might have been one at one time, I'm not sure. Kind of looks like that tree may have had one at one time. The dilemmas. The sign said water, but I haven't seen any. Oh, look at that. We have flowing water. All right. I may get some water. But if I go to the shelter, which is only 3 miles, it may be too dark, I don't know, but I decided to keep going. There's another water source, 1.4 miles. That was flowing a few days ago, and that was before the rain, so. So I suppose I'm going to keep my timeline, go over max patch, probably in the dark, in the wind. Not ideal. But it is what it is. Alright, so up that is to max patch. I'm at this old dirt road. I run into the other hiker I run into at the shelter. He'd been up to the summit, got confused and come back down. He said there's no visibility up there. I saw a camp spot not far back, so that's where we're going for the night. Yeah. Maybe Max Patch will be clear in the morning.